Hello, we are Alex Rowland,
Brett Wright,
Patrick Casey, Patrick McHugh,
Winston Hazelip, and together we are Pigeon Armada Studios,
and this is Bewildered.
In a brief overview, Bewildered is a puzzle-based action-adventure game. In the game, the player has a pet called a Walla Walla, following them around. The player uses treats to get the Walla Walla to go to places in order to solve puzzles. The Walla Walla is no ordinary pet, however. The Walla Walla can take on different elemental forms based on the last elemental object that he has touched. The player must make their way through the jungle by using the treats and the Walla Walla to solve environmental puzzles. After completing these puzzles, the player and their Walla Walla progress on further into the jungle and the temple beyond.
Let's first talk about the player character himself. His name is Jack Malcolm, and he is stuck in a jungle environment for apparently scientific reasons. He is very adept at problem solving and will need these skills in order to survive. Upon his arrival in the jungle, he meets a strange creature. The creature is not hostile, but Jack lacks the proper skills to communicate with it. His only form of communicating with the creature is with treats, which the creature loves to nibble on. The Walla Walla will follow Jack's treats eagerly. Jack must use the treats to lure the Walla Walla into helping him solve the puzzles in order to escape the jungle.
Next, the Walla Walla himself. This little guy adapts to its surrounding. By doing so, he takes on the elemental properties of the last thing he touched. The elements it can become include water, air, earth, and fire. It doesn't have a specific affinity for Jack, but it loves the treats he gives it. He follows them no matter where they lead. And Jack quickly figures out that the Walla Walla's love of the treats and uses them to get the Walla Walla to help him.
Now, let's speak about the puzzles and the environment. The environment is very dynamic and the player must use the Walla Walla's different elemental forms to destroy or manipulate the environment. Let's say there's a wood wall in the way. Not too far from the player is a campfire. Appropriately, Jack should throw the tree into the fire, which will turn the Walla Walla into its fire form. Then Jack should throw a tree at the wooden wall. Once the Walla Walla gets here, the wall will begin to burn. Once it's destroyed, the player can progress forward. The environment contains puzzle elements that will correspond to each of the Walla Walla's elemental forms.
A few examples of the puzzles that we are incorporating can be seen in our prototype level. We have seesaws which the Walla Walla will need to weigh down on one side in order to elevate the player to a higher level than they could reach simply by jumping. For this interaction to work properly, the Walla Walla will need to be in earth form, due to the increased mass it provides him. This is demonstrated in the prototype level by a wall that is movable by a pressure switch, which happens to be another mechanic in the game. The pressure switch can be seen through a small opening in the side of the normal wall. The player will need to shoot a treat through the opening and make it land on the pressure switch. Normally, this type of puzzle would not require the Walla Walla to be in a specific elemental state, but because there is a pressure switch that needs to be activated, the player would need to send him through in an earth state. Again, this is due to the increased mass of the Walla Walla in that state.
The elemental state changes will allow for a variety of mechanics to be incorporated. For example, the player will come to an area where there is an impassable gap with a log at the bottom. With the Walla Walla in water state, the player can throw a treat into the gap. The Walla Walla will fill the gap with water, which will raise the log, allowing the player to get past the opening. Another mechanic that will utilize the water is water wheel. These will be activated when the Walla Walla is sent to the top of it, releasing water to make it spin. This will be used in conjunction with doors or platforms that will move as a result of the wheel spinning. Also, there will be mechanics that utilize the air state that the Walla Walla can change into. One such example would be a torrential waterfall that the player must pass through to progress further. By throwing a treat into the waterfall, the Walla Walla will go after it, while in the form of an air elemental, the Walla Walla will part the water ball, making an opening that the player can get past.
Our main concerns for this concept was also 3 of the 4 tenets: unique and interesting gameplay, reasonable scope, and polish.
These tenets really drove many of our decisions early on when talking about this concept. Understanding that we have limited scripting knowledge and almost no character animation abilities made us think of a game that could utilize assets we already had and scripting that was limited. There are only 2 mechanics in the game that we are not sure how to do. But those 2 mechanics, coupled with the puzzle elements, are unique. They are also interesting by nature of having the player have to manipulate a pet indirectly. However, we want to drive home the unique and interesting feel to this game by having exciting and challenging gameplay. We chose to have an art style that was realistic in nature but incorporates an edge detection to give a preternatural look to everything. Hopefully the player will be bewildered to why the environment and sounds are so natural, but something is off.
Another concern of ours is the scope. There are some technical issues that we foresee, and we are trying to take care of them. The first big hurdle for our game is the pathfinding for the Walla Walla. Getting the pet to react to the changing environment will certainly be a task that needs to be taken down early so that we can get into the debugging levels and work on the challenging gameplay. The next big technical issues for our game is getting the Walla Walla to react with different environmental obstacles. This will be a task in scripting to make sure the Walla Walla knows what's around him and how to use those environmental pieces he needs to react.
Lastly, our concern is the polish of this game. We think that we have a really fun and unique idea, and we are certain that polish will help to fully immerse the player in the story and the adventure they embark on. Scope and polish were especially a big concern. With the environment and the mechanics that are in this prototype, we have proven those concerns to be warranted.
The last tenet of Final Project is the competition that we want to submit our game to. The Independent Games Festival competition is sponsored by UBM TechWeb in connection with the Game Developers Conference.
One of the compelling things about this specific competition is how open it is. Middleware is allowed as long as you follow the rules and have permission. With how open the competition is, there is close to no limits on any of the competitors, which leaves us very open to what we can do in our game. We also believe that after working with each other, it would be possible to enter the competition this year. Even without the updates we would have more than enough time to make the game worthy of submission. Any updates we would submit would strictly be icing on the cake. Prototype. Getting the Walla Walla to do what we want will be an ongoing process due to the nature of the AI. Just getting it to see the treat and collect it, follow the player if no treats are present, and interact with the puzzles has proved to be a chore. We still have some obstacles to cross in the future, but as a team we really feel we nailed down the scope of this project, including time to polish and test already calculated in our schedule. Unique and interesting gameplay became a byproduct really of the Walla Walla and the treat mechanic we have in the game. So far, the prototype has proved to be a fun toy. It is interesting to see what you can make the Walla do and how far you can push him. This will only enhance the jungle and the temple environments we have planned. This will also help give him a diverse set of unique and exciting puzzles. Moving forward, we have taken on some of the major tasks of this prototype, and moving forward, we see there are some of the major issues we'll deal with this mechanic. Nav meshes, getting the Walla Walla to change forms and interact with the world, not to mention a serious amount of level design. We know incorporating interesting and challenging puzzles will be trying, but we are looking forward to taking down those challenges and finishing off a really unique idea.
Even without the updates that we would submit, we have more than enough time to make a game worthy of submission. Any updates we submit would strictly be icing on the cake. Getting the Walla Walla to do what we want will be an ongoing process due to the nature of its AI. Just getting it to see the treat and collecting it, follow the player if no treats are present, and interact with puzzles have proved to be a chore. We still have some obstacles to cross in the near future, but we as a team really feel we have nailed the scope of this project, including time to polish and test already calculated into our schedule. Unique and interesting gameplay became a byproduct really of the Walla Walla and the treat mechanic we have in our game. So far, the prototype has proven to be a fun toy. It is interesting to see what you can make the Walla Walla do and how far you can push him. This will only enhance the jungle and temple environments planned. These will help to give a diverse set of unique and exciting puzzles. We have taken down some of the major tasks for the prototype, and moving forward, we see some of the major issues as dealing with dynamic nav meshes, getting the Walla Walla to change forms and interact with the world, not to mention a serious amount of level design. We know that incorporating interesting and challenging puzzles will be trying also, but we are looking forward to taking down these challenges and finishing off a really unique idea.